Hello, folks. This is Mayo Best here for the Blitz Business Development Show, and we are doing another bonus episode for you guys in the interim of us going into our second season. So this again is not one of our planned episodes, and what I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing we did last week for our bonus episode that we got some pretty good response for, and I'm going to just give you guys some more information and things to kind of think about, some food for thought, if you will. So with that said, guys, what I'm going to talk about briefly today is the need for you guys to really start acclimating yourself to a lot of the things that are going on as it relates to the technology. Now, back in 2017 or so, I really did a lot in terms of working with the local government here in La Plata, Maryland, and trying to get out the word about the fourth industrial revolution. Now, I also educated folks, on an individual level, did some presentations outside of the county as well. And I wanted to say that, a couple of years ago, when I was actually trying to help folks get educated and acclimated to the technology that's taking place now, what I honestly didn't know at the time is that a lot of the different technologies and the different industries that were talked about in the fourth industrial revolution has an enormous amount to do with Web 3.0 now, as well as the Metaverse. And what that has actually done for me is just really helped me understand where things are going. And also, and this actually dovetails with our show that we had last week about positioning. These types of things in terms of Web 3.0, the Metaverse, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and really understanding blockchain and cryptocurrencies and how all of these different technologies work and how they work together and how they also work in concert to create a foundation for what is called the Metaverse. Now, I know a lot of folks are starting to hear that word. It's becoming a buzzword, and a lot of people are starting to hear it. And, maybe there's some confusion, I believe, too, around what the Metaverse is as it relates to Facebook. And to clarify for anyone out there that is not clear on this, Facebook is not the Metaverse, or there isn't any one Metaverse, not as of yet. That may happen in time, but right now there are several different Metaverses out there that are being built. And the foundation for those for the metaverses are being built as well. Now, what you need to understand as a business owner, how do you wrap your mind around all this technology? Now, this really does depend on where you are in terms of your understanding about things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other cryptocurrencies that make up the space. But what I would highly encourage you guys to do is you got to start getting educated about these things. Why? Well, if you don't know this, you will soon find out that these technologies that make up these different platforms, and even just the way in terms of the thought process about approaching business models, is going through a complete paradigm shift in terms of how people are creating businesses, because the technology is creating opportunities and ways to do things that you could have never done before. And this is so important and critical to you as a business owner to really start understanding these technologies so that you can figure out where you want to fit in. Now, you guys may have heard me say this before, and I will constantly say this, and that is you're going to have to really adapt. Now, when we talked about positioning last week in last week's bonus episode, one of the key components to positioning was really being able to control the variables that controls the outcomes. Well, before you can actually control the variables, you've got to understand what the variables actually are. Okay, so what that means is, in context to what I'm telling you right now, is how do these technologies work, what skill sets are involved, and what opportunities are already out there, And what opportunities could you find yourself possibly segueing into or adapting to offer into your business? Now, this is going to be critical, guys. I really don't think that people really understand the depth and efficacy of these technologies and where we really are right now, in terms of history and opportunity. And if you've studied any monetary history, you know that for the last 5,000 years, gold has been how I should say held as one of the true stores of value, okay, for currency and for money. But something is changing. Now, you're going to hear a lot of controversy around this. And I'm not going to get into, a debate with anyone or try to make a statement that, gold is, not worth as much as cryptocurrency or Bitcoin and none of that stuff. What I want you to understand as a business owner is that we're going through a phase to where, depending on how old you are, if you're listening to this, if you remember back in the 80s where we had the Apple, and the IBM stock and Microsoft, and these were some of the hottest stocks to actually start emerging, okay, back in the early 80s. And it was a big opportunity because you could have gotten those stocks extremely cheap, right? Because the computing industry was really starting to blossom and getting ready to boom. And then by the time we got to the mid 80s to late or early 90s, that boom took place. And then eventually we got into the internet, another boom. Then there was the dot-coms, another boom. Now where we are now is another boom. But folks, when I tell you that it's going so much faster, the adoption rate for things like cryptocurrency and they call DeFi or decentralized finance, these areas of technology are just moving so fast. The adoption rate is dramatically faster. I can't give you an exact percentage, but it's dramatically faster than the adoption rate for the internet. These are multi-trillion-dollar industries that are starting to emerge. So I want to bring this home to you in a way that you can really understand this and say that, listen, if you thought that e-commerce was huge for small businesses, then you are going to definitely want to start sinking your teeth and your understanding into these new technological disciplines and industries, because your opportunities for tomorrow are laying inside of those technologies. Okay, this is where it's going, guys. And all I can say to you is that you do not want to let this technology get so far ahead, because I can tell you in the last 10 to 12 years, I've watched what Bitcoin has done. And I've watched how Bitcoin has really single-handedly created an entire universe. It has spawned an entire universe of not just other cryptocurrencies, but taking the blockchain technology and having that really kind of be extrapolated into these, oh my goodness, new technologies, new ways of doing business. And it is going so fast. And I just can't urge you guys enough, in terms of getting an education about this. Even if you have to take a step back, okay, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, if what I'm saying right now sounds like a foreign language to you, it would not hurt you to go back and look at some of the data from 2017 talking about the fourth industrial revolution, which we're in now, because a lot of the data from the World Economic Forum, a lot of that data that talks about the fourth industrial revolution is talking about the era and the years that we're in now between 2020 and 22 and actually beyond. But I think it wouldn't hurt you to go back to look at the technologies that it talks about so that you can actually understand and connect the dots between what you're seeing and hearing now and what they were saying was going to happen. That would really help you have an understanding as to what is going to make up the foundation of this new metaverse. Now, I'm not going to get into the metaverse right now. I'm not going to really talk about these technology in any depth, because that's not the scope of this episode for now, but actually we're looking to possibly have a dedicated time during the week where we're going to possibly add a show that's going to just talk about cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And if you don't know what those are, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, then you will definitely learn during that show, if not before. But my point here is what I really just want to stress to you guys, is to get out there and start learning this information. And last thing about this, guys, don't be afraid to go to some place like Udemy or Skillshare and invest in a small course. A lot of times Udemy has sales on for courses at like $10 and $15. And here's why. I was doing some studying about some NFTs lately and really trying to understand certain things. And I went on YouTube, and YouTube, of course, it goes without saying that it's phenomenal. However, sometimes you need really definitive information, and you need it to be detail oriented, because when you start dealing with certain types of understandings like NFTs or cryptocurrencies, the details really do matter. And how things get explained and what parts are left out are critical to your understanding of how these things work. Now, you may or may not always get that level of comprehension and detail in a YouTube video where someone's just trying to do you a favor and educate you as best they can. Well, a lot of times, courses on Udemy I found to be a lot more comprehensive and detailed. And in learning something new like that, you really need that detail. And then you also need it for point of reference to go back and then, study over it again. Now, listen, I'm not getting paid to push anything for Udemy. They're not a sponsor or anything like that. I just really have liked their courses for quite some time. And I do think that people should definitely check them out, because a lot of times they're really worth the money. But you can shop around in Udemy to find a good course to do that. So I'm not going to keep this episode going on too much longer, guys. This is just a little bonus I wanted to throw in for this week. But I want to close with just saying, guys, part of your positioning, and part of controlling the variables that controls the outcomes, it means you have to constantly be transforming and evolving in your understanding of where things are going. Okay? Because it's about to get really interesting, folks. To any of my listeners out there, it's about to get really interesting. And if you're in your 40s or your 50s or older, you're going to have a completely different perspective on some of these things that you're seeing. And some of it may be your advantage. And if you're younger, let's say you're a millennial, this is also good for you to listen to as well, because the sooner you adopt this mindset of constantly absorbing information for the purpose of adapting your business to it and figuring out where you want to go next, then this will be critical for you too. Okay? So this is how, guys, this is how you never get lost in terms of what you should be doing next in your business. You always want to stay ahead of yourself in terms of where you want to go. And the way that you do that, call it your own R&D, if you will, your own research and development. Research these things, understand them far in advance, get a feel for where things are going, because that's also going to give you your competitive advantage. Okay, so that's going to be it for me, guys, for this week. We're just kind of give you some bonus episodes until we actually have our new season for new format with, additional hosts and other topics we're going to actually cover. It's going to be a completely different format coming up soon, and I hope you guys are going to like it. With that said, guys, I definitely could appreciate if you could download these episodes. We really do need your help. And listen, also, please, if you're getting anything out of these episodes, the bonus episodes or the seasons, guys, please share the show. We're trying to get the show to get some more viewers and get some more downloads so that we can grow the platform. All right, folks. So until next week, I will see you guys soon. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.